please, so we can start with the ceremony. מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אכסר, בינו שירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במקלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי ילך וקצל מוות, לא ידע רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. הכתוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The words of the 23rd Psalm, Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters, to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. would like to welcome everyone who tuned in to accompany the family and to pay their respects, to honor the memory of Allan Shnier of blessed memory, who was also known by the Jewish people by his Hebrew name, Abraham Yosef ben Moshe Vesara, Zichrono Livracha, the son of Morris and Sarah Shnier of blessed memory, beloved husband of Rona Shnier for some 71 years, the brother of Esther Rimis, and also of Max Shnier, blessed memory, Berta Kleiman, blessed memory, Charlotte Finkelstein of blessed memory, Irving Shnier of blessed memory, Philip Shnier of blessed memory, Norman Shnier of blessed memory, George Shnier, blessed memory, Clifford Shnier of blessed memory, Jack Shnier of blessed memory, and Cecil Shnier of blessed memory. The father of Cliff and Ruth Ann Shnier, Sarah and Jeffrey Bernstein, Jordy Shnier, Gary and Roxanne Shnier. The grandfather of Carrie, Kelly, Tammy and Ilan, Jared, Noah, Lily, Jacob, Andrew and Bailey, Zoe, Skylar and Bryn. The great-grandfather of Zoe and Lexi and Ivory. Ali passed away on Friday, December 4th, at the age of 92. There are actually many ways for people to live their lives. Many different options they can choose. The rabbis wrote extensively about this. One of the most famous passages about different ways to approach life is found in the Mishnah. Pirkei Avot, chapter 5, Mishnayot 13 and 14. There we learn there are 4 types among men. He who says, what is mine is mine, what is yours is yours. This is the common type, though some say that this is the type of Sodom. He who says, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is mine, he is an ignorant man. He who says, what is yours is mine, and what is mine is mine, is a wicked man. But he who says, what is mine is yours, and what is yours is yours, he is a saintly man. And there are 4 temperaments among men. Easy to get angry, but easy to appease. His loss is cancelled by his gain. Hard to get angry and hard to appease. His gain is cancelled by his loss. Easy to get angry and hard to appease. He's a wicked man. And hard to get angry and easy to appease. He's a saintly man. And after reading those passages, it is clear to me that today we are saying goodbye to a saintly man. Man who was not only extremely generous in a quiet way, from total strangers to the synagogue at Winnipeg Beach, but also a man who earned the respect of everyone who had the privilege to know him because of his gentle character. Among Ali's multiple virtues was his love for his family. The central significance of family is seen by Jewish tradition as emphasized by the Bible in its narrative dealing with another person who shares the same Hebrew names as Ali, Abraham, our first patriarch. And just like Ali, despite his multiple achievements in life, Abraham nevertheless yearned to be blessed with his own family. In a world of confusion and uncertainty, It is more important than ever to find, as Ali did, the time to spend time with our family. And I would like to share a couple more wonderful traits of character that Ali shared with the world. First, the value of silence. As Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi taught, a single word is worth a coin, but silence is worth two. Whereas Ali will simply say it, if you don't have anything to say, don't say it. And the second one is, love your neighbor as yourself, which is, according to the rabbis, the most important mitzvah in Judaism. We shouldn't then be surprised that Ali's mantra was, I love you. Something that Ali will say not just to his family, but always meaning every word. Now it's time to remember all that love that Ali shared with so many for so many years. So I would like to invite Sarah and Jordi to come forward to share the eulogy.
Unfortunately, due to COVID travel restrictions, our eldest brother Clifford and several family members cannot be here today. Clifford worked with us on the eulogy to follow. We have not only lost a father and a mensch, but we have almost bid farewell to a tribe of 12 children of Russian immigrants. The quintessential story of parents who fled pogroms and persecution to give their offspring a life in a country in which freedom, justice, and acceptance were valued. These children indeed suffered their own adversities, however, strove to make ours a better world by valuing education, family, and community. Yes, the shtetl has disappeared, but never the memories that are indelibly engraved in our hearts. They were the children who worked at the dry goods stores in Emerson, the deli on Main Street. They were the border guards, the soldiers, the navigators, the POWs, the comedians, the Shriners, the salesmen, the drive-in movie owners, the ballroom dancers, the antique collectors, the neighborhood plumber, the travelers, the engineers, the bakers of cinnamon buns, the volunteers, the philanthropists, the feminists, and the mavens of the floor-covering industry. Ali was the baby of 12, born in 1928 in Emerson. And since there were not many toys at hand, his sisters, Babe and Esther, dressed baby Ali up in frilly clothes and pushed him around in their baby carriage. When we would ask for stories of their childhood, they joked and said they had polo ponies and acres in which to run. As adults, we returned to the Emerson plantation, whereupon we were so shocked at actually how small it was. A family so large and united that mothers and daughters, aunts and nieces had babies close together. Throughout life, Ali was always treasured and showered with love, which is most likely why he in turn was able to bestow that love to us and the world. I'd like to mention that Dad was Ali, not Mr. Shnier. He was known as Ali. Everyone in Winnipeg knew him as Ali. After Winnipeg, Ali joined with his father, Moshe, in a small building on Ross Street in Winnipeg. They carried small good housewares, but they established a presence. Ali got his taste in business. During the following years, his brothers in Eastern Canada, who had the rights to lines such as B.F. Goodrich, introduced the factory to Ali, and he eventually obtained distribution rights in the West. The company became Eagle Distributing Company. Years later, all the brothers merged companies across Canada to form the national company known as G.E. Shnier and Gesco Industries, Inc. These two companies eventually became the dominant national floor-covering distribution company in Canada. After the mergers, Ali enjoyed working many years with his brothers George, Irving, Norman, Cecil, and Phil. In addition to running G.E. Shnier in Western Canada, Ali was very active as the president of Metropolitan Equities, the extended family's real estate investment company. It didn't matter if you cleaned the washrooms at the company or were the president of the Royal Bank. He gave you his undivided attention and deserved the respect you deserved. That's what made Ali so special. Our father was the quintessential philanthropist, the quiet philanthropist. Whether it be the synagogue, an employee, a family member, or a charitable cause, whenever and whoever he rose to the occasion, helping any in need. He got pleasure from helping others. He said it made him feel good. He could have put his name on buildings, but instead, he chose to give often and quietly, funding many people and charities who needed it. People knew they could always rely on Ali, but never took advantage of him. He was the prince of paying it forward, never wanting the recognition or acknowledgement. He was fair and an honest person, a man of integrity. In his younger years, Clifford, our brother, witnessed multiple occasions when Ali reached out to many less fortunate, whether it be the homeless or the disenfranchised. In essence, when Dad noticed suffering in society, he did all he could to make a change. Another day, many years ago, Freddie the Fixer, our office handyman, came rushing into Ali's office. An acquaintance of Freddie who knew Ali knew, was arrested and in the drunk tank. It was unusual for the fellow. He was not a man who drank. Ali took out some cash, handed it to Freddie. Just tell Bruno to pay me back when he can. Never a cross word. He couldn't do / never say a cross word. There wasn't a cross word he couldn't do. Yes, a double entendre indeed. We all at different times would sit with him for hours watching him whiz through crosswords, writing with his free, lucky Ray and Jerry's pens, free promo pens, which he would scoop up by the handful along with free after 8 mint sticks, which he stuffed into his pocket and mouth. His passionate love of Chinese food was notorious, along with ice cream, brisket, corned beef, hot mustard, pickles, Eve's delicious soups, bar mitzvah dainties, sunflower seeds, and fresh corn on the cob, which he would cook in a pressure cooker at midnight, which wafted into our bedrooms, which brought us all to the kitchen to spin corn on a slab of butter and enjoy a midnight snack. We can remember a story where he shared during a blizzard in which he was stuck in a small diner on Sherbrooke Street with several other customers. He went into the kitchen and helped the stressed cooks prep and serve out hot meals. Another time during a storm, there was a traffic light that was malfunctioning. He parked his car, went into the busy intersection, and started conducting traffic in a 4-way corner procedure until the police arrived. The memories of laughter emanating from a constantly open and unlocked hospitable house, the percolated coffee, tickling the ivories, the laughters of the Silvers, the Bells, the Maslows, the Shells, the Kaplans, and Clapmans, and on and on. The winter months in Palm Springs, and yet another village of friends. And then there were the summers in Winnipeg Beach, with yet another community filled with laughter, meals, visitors, and naps on the veranda where the grandchildren played, with toys strewn about. Our parents' generosity to our families was beyond expectations. Restaurants, groceries, flights for the kids. When they often came to visit, whether it be Vancouver or Toronto, he always took the kids out, brought the meals, stocked our fridges. When the grandkids visited Palm Springs, he would drop them off and pick them up from nail salons, stores, always the reflex of reaching for his wallet to provide and give with all his heart. Family was paramount to Dad. He wanted to overcome the physical distance issue which prevented visits. He came up with an idea on how to get his large brood together. He arranged to take the family on a cruise where we could get together with siblings and cousins for the week, fun and sun. The rule was we all had to have supper together every night. It became a family tradition running many years. The love for all his grandchildren was overwhelming, and we might add here his sincere adoration for his nieces and nephews was also abound. He had a great ability to make each person feel like they were the special one, a great gift that reflected on Sale's ability. When they each would phone from wherever and ask, "How's the weather in Winnipeg, Grandpa?" he would respond, "The sun is always shining when I hear your voice." His 72-year marriage to our mom was nothing short of magical. They met on a blind date, and Allie treated Rona like a queen, and his happiness was gauged on hers. She referred to him as "my Allie," and he often had lipstick kisses on his bald head. In later years, he would yell out in public, "Oh, I love my wife. She is my life." People would turn and stare. Hey, it was a deep-rooted, incomprehensible love, and we all just rolled our eyes a lot. When our dad would need to be hooked up to a heart monitor, he would ask the technician, "Does that machine show how much I love my wife?" When Rona became demented and spoke in a nonsensical manner, Allie would nod as if he understood and mouthed out, "I love you." When we tried for his own good to watch his sodium and sugar intake, he would say, "I ain't gonna die young." Another little nutritional anecdote would be, I would advise him, "Dad, try not to eat anything white. No rice, no potatoes, no white bread." To which he responded, Now let me get this right, dear. So I can't have vanilla ice cream, but I can have chocolate?" When a caregiver took him to the shul for the funeral of a friend, whilst thoroughly enjoying the kiddish meal of egg salad, cream cheese, and bagel, Allie would look up and say coyly, "Now, whose funeral is this again?" Towards the end of his life, he was telling the servers at restaurants, the medical technicians who drew his blood, and the caregivers that he loved them. Allie's ability to pun and the banter we enjoyed was priceless, never to be replaced. A few weeks ago, one of us asked Dad, "How are your knees?" And he said, "My knees, Myra? I hope she's okay." "Oh, Dad, you have such a cutie." And he'd respond, "Oh, and you're a cutie too." When I inquired one time as to why his eyes were watering, he replied, "My eyes are filled to the brim with tears of joy because of all the beautiful women in my life and all of the fresh air I breathed every day." In time, his finger that I wrapped my hand around as a toddler was now exchanged for my forearm, which aided him out of the car. A great joy that our dad got was when he would read from the Shnier family pages. Website initiated by Cecil and maintained by our cousin Mitchell Shnier. We all helped him read different sections in his later years. Our parents had the privilege of aging in the comfort of their familiar home. We have wonderful caregivers that looked after them as their own grandparents. It was amazing to see the two-way love. An essential visit to the hospital for a blood transfusion ended in a serious fall. The ramifications of COVID made for a cycle of frustrations for all of us, as we fought to make sense of it all and gave us restricted access at a time when it was needed the most. Our brother Clifford deserves an honorable mention for the excellent job of being the medical liaison for the family over the years. Talking to the many doctors and translating the medical terms and ailments into plain English, writing reports for all, often on a daily basis. In addition, he manages our caregiver team and now going forward with Rona. Jordy jumped in 2 weeks ago when Allie went into Seven Oaks Hospital. Jordy has the similar ability and charm as Allie, and he used those skills to speak to but yet not bother the nurses looking after Dad. He did the daily shift, helping the overworked nurses, making sure that there was at least a 12-hour bedside vigilance when he would often FaceTime Cliff, Gary, and the grandchildren, as well as myself and Jeffrey, as we anguished for not being allowed in due to the Code Red COVID protocols. He was able to navigate around the COVID restrictions, which were changing by the hour, and getting us there to be by Dad's side. This also helped the family with our visits during the last days. To both of you, we offer our grateful, very grateful thanks, a labor of love by you and appreciated by all. Also, thank you from the bottom of our hearts to cousin Dr. Sarah Credenzer. Cliff was able to lean on her for counsel. She also dropped into the ward to visit. Sarah works in a clinic connected to the hospital and knows the nursing staff and hospital management. Her words to her colleagues helped us immensely. What gave us comfort beyond comprehension was the God-given blessing of our professional caregivers, Nikki, Clarice, Rochelle, Diane, Ernell, Vina, Patty, and former employees, Rachel and Faye. The care, respect, and devotion which they bestowed upon our parents' physical and mental well-being, as if it were their own grandparents, is a cherished gift that we shall forever be indebted. In addition, we should mention the medical staff, Dr. Simpkin, Goldberg, and Yang, and most recently at Seven Oaks, Dr. Wilson, all played an incredible caring role in helping Allie reach 92 wonderful years. What they might not have known is that by giving him those extra years, so many additional people benefited.
From the grandchildren, we're going to miss you, Grandpa. Your big hugs and being able to see how much he loved Nana and how he would always call her his trophy wife. You have shown us by example how to treat one's partner with love, respect, and patience. Best childhood memories are definitely landing at the Palm Springs airport, seeing him waiting for us at the bottom of the escalator with his arms crossed under that big belly and huge smile on his face, and smelling that big cigar while we walked to the pool each morning. How he would whimper like a puppy when the kids would get ice cream and everyone told him he couldn't have any. We are all going to miss his witty humor and never-ending love. My brother Gary and I remember with fondness Dad employing and schlepping Alan and Mandy Marglis, Debbie and Karen Bell, and of course our lovely beagle Misty, to the office every Saturday. He also hired so many of our family's friends for Gesco. He traveled weekly to Toronto. He always made it back in time for our hockey or soccer games. Fishing trips to BC and keeping dead quiet in our beds as a bear made its way into our cabin and rummaged around Dad's duffel bag for his salami sandwich. Our dad never swore. However, there were exceptions. This Glendale Country Club gin rummy champion let loose with a barrage of profanity when Roxanne took him on and wiped the floor with him in the cottage veranda tournaments. Our dad started Metropolitan Equities, projects in Winnipeg, Denver, Calgary, Edmonton, Minneapolis, and Palm Springs. He sat on many boards, including the Manitoba Development Corporation with Flyer Buses. Loved his grandkids more than life itself. He had a funny way of showing it, though. One story that stands out. No one can forget the traumatic event of Brinny's disappointment at looking forward to eating her Subway Smartie cookie at lunchtime at school. It had mysteriously disappeared. At the end of the day, it was ascertained that Grandpa had babysat the previous night, and when in search of a treat, he spied Brinny's sparkly pink Barbie lunchbox, knowing there'd be a good possibility of a cookie in there. He ate it, without a thought of Bryn missing it. But why even leave the little bag of evidence? What a funny Grandpa. Our dad, what a guy. Dad rule 1, A family may argue during the day, but we dine together as a family at night. Dad rule 2. The second you lose control, you've lost the fight. Dad rule 3. The role model is not what you say, it's how you act and react to the difficulties life throws at you. Dad, you showed us how a father should love his family. Your 72 years with Mom is proof of that. You created the term child labor, corralling the neighborhood children into your beloved caddy, head to the farm, pick a bushel or 2 of cukes, head home, put said cukes into bathtub, wash them, bring them down to the kitchen, and then it happens. An assembly line, each with a certain task, depending on our hand size. Some were bottom stuffers, some were dill placers, some were garlic placers, until we'd have dozens and dozens of jars that were ready for Dad to add all the secret ingredients of Bubby Sarah's recipe. He then had us grasp the jars as tightly as possible, usually 2 kids per jar, as he screwed the lids on as tightly as he could. Jars were taken to the downstairs fridge, turned upside down, and wait. In a few weeks, we had the world-famous Allan Shnier pickles, wanted by many, coveted by all, but only enjoyed with his closest family and friends. All holidays, any family gatherings or simchas, there was something missing if the pickles weren't there. Dad had to have his family trips. We were forced to go to Hawaii every year. On one such trip, a group of Winnipeggers decided to rent a motor coach to travel to the North Shore. Filled with families and loads of kids, we set off for the day. We arrived to thunderous 14-foot waves that would crash and crush some of the world's best surfers. Just the perfect place for our 40 to 70-pound bodies to body surf. Literally, we barely touched the edge of the shore and we'd be thrown 40 to 60 feet from where we first stood. As the tide began to quickly recede from the beach into the ocean, it took many of us with it, simultaneously burying the overseeing adults into the watery, sandy beach. And then it happened. The day's biggest wave, the mother of all, sending all surfers into their glory, everybody surfing landing somewhere near the parking lot, and any bystander, Allie who couldn't swim and the remaining adults, running for their lives. Allie, forgetting how deep his legs had become buried in the sand, turned to run, leaving at least one cartilage where he originally stood. We bolted Allie to the hospital. After a few hours, and a torn cartilage later, Allie emerges on crutches and bellowing, "Now where are we going for dinner?" Benihana's it was. We could all go on about our father and these types of stories, but in the last 48 hours, the outpouring of sadness and grief of his passing has been unbelievable. I would suggest somewhere in the thousands, with emails, texts, phone calls, and messages between my brother Clifford, Sarah, Gary, and myself. We've learned even more just how loved Dad was and will always be. It took the end of a life of a very great man to rekindle a plethora of delightful childhood memories. Thank you, Dad.
Finally, I want to read something from my husband, Jeffrey Bernstein, Allie's son-in-law. I want to express how fortunate I was to have the kindest, warmest, most accepting father-in-law in the world. He was my special parent, mentor, friend, and someone to whom I looked up to for the last 42 years. He was an exceptional dad, grandpa, great-grandpa, and above all, an amazing husband of 72 years to Rona. He also taught me by example how to be a real mensch. The many times we all spent together and his generosity to his whole family when we were invited to Palm Springs, Las Vegas, and the wonderful times at the cottage at Winnipeg Beach. I also have to mention how many years he came to visit us on Hornby Island and always said that it was one of his favorite places in the world. To this day, we have the grandpa room, or the grandpa cupboard, in this room he stayed in, and that will never change. I could go on forever with stories and memories we shared together, but time does not permit. I will miss you, and there will always be a void which will only be filled by these cherished and wonderful memories. I love you always, my Pop. The Shnier family elders have left a legacy to which we have the proud honor and obligation to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah and Jordi, for such beautiful tribute. It's the eulogy, according to the rabbis, is extremely important. It's the tool we have to realize that not everything is gone. There is so much that stays with us as long as we live. And the other thing that came to my mind as I was listening to that beautiful eulogy was that, yes, Ali had lots of achievements during his life, but perhaps the most important thing was not the achievements, but the fact that he was a fulfilled man, because he had the love and support of his family for all his life. So I would like to continue now with the memorial prayer, the El Maleh Rahamim. El Maleh Rahamim Shochem Bameroimim Ametze Menucho Nechona Tachat Kafei HaShechina V'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezoyer Araki Amazirim Eden Ishemat Eden Ishemat Abraham Yosef Moshe Vesara She'alach le'olamo Ba'avur Shalom Mitpalelim Ve'adat Zkarat Nishemato Began Eitein Began Edentei Menuchato Lachem Balerachamim Astire Eyu Vesederkeno Avleolamim Utzeror Bitzror Achayim Achayim Et Nishemato Adonai Unachalato Ve'yanuach Ve'shalom Al Mishkavo Venomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Allan Shnier, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. Please join me now in the recitation of the words of comfort, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Itgadal ve'itgadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divera hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Israel. Ba'agala u'vizman kari ve'imru. Amen. Yehe shemer Rava mevorach le'alam u'le'olmei almaya. Yitvarach ve'yishtabach ve'itpa'ar ve'itromam ve'itnaseh. ve'ithadar ve'it'aleh ve'ithalal shemei dekudesha berihu. Le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata v'tushvechata ve'nechemata l'miram be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehesh lama rava min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imeru amen. Oseh shalom imrumav u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imeru amen. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in to pay your respects to the blessed memory of Allan Shnier, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory. Donation on his memory could be made to a fund that is going to be announced in the obituary pretty soon. And now we are going to end the stream in a few seconds, and the family is going to continue here at the cemetery with a private burial. Again, thank you so much for tuning in.